I've really been looking forward to this week for a few reasons. For one thing, Venus enters Pisces, which is a very comfortable place for Venus. We just had a new moon in Pisces, and we also have a very auspicious looking March 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day. So let's get into it. So, to start off, I want to talk a bit about Mercury. I mentioned in the previous weekly and the dailies that Mercury has now gone into Aries, and that's a real step change for Mercury. Mercury is really not in good shape in Pisces, and Mercury entering to Aries is, in terms of dignity, good for Mercury. That's an improvement. And then there's also, given that Pluto is right now at the very early Aquarius, Mercury in Aries receives a sextile from Pluto. This looks to me like catching up on the Mercury work, which is often very detail-oriented, data kind of things. A lot of that may have fallen to the wayside or become very disorganized during Mercury's time in Pisces. So if that's the case for you, Mercury in Aries sextile Pluto is a good opportunity to play a serious game of catch-up. Mercury is also moving very fast in the sky at the moment, which is another good indication for Mercury. Overall, a good Mercury week compared to what we've been having. So moving on, we have Venus entering Pisces. Pisces is the sign of Venus's exaltation, which is to say that Venus is quite strong in Pisces, which is inherently good for the Venus things in our lives, like pleasure, love, relationships, that type of thing. Venus in Pisces is very good for being in flow. It facilitates graceful movement of all sorts. I'm reminded of Bruce Lee's saying to be like water. Now, one thing that may be of concern is Saturn being in Pisces, with Saturn being about grim realities, shall we say. So that kind of dampens the fun and joy we might otherwise have with Venus in Pisces. But the thing about Saturn is that while Saturn is the greater malefic associated with long-term slow problems, cold problems, Saturn has this capacity to make things real. And with Neptune being in Pisces, that is possibly a useful counterweight. Neptune is very daydreamy. Neptune dissolves boundaries and is associated with illusions and sometimes outright lies. I've seen it in charts corresponding to deception, outright deception of a fanciful, ridiculous sort. So Neptune is not a very serious planet, whereas Saturn is a very serious planet. It's the planet of seriousness. And seriousness can be a good thing. A little bit of discipline goes a long way. So this Venus, Neptune, and Saturn co-presence in Pisces can be a useful thing for making your dreams come true, shall we say. Venus and Neptune together in Pisces will very likely provide very pleasant daydreams and fantasies, which you may be able to make real thanks to Saturn's presence in Pisces. So at the end of the week, Sunday, March 17th, we have the Sun conjunct Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces, which happens to be the exaltation degree of Venus in Pisces. So a while ago, I listened to Austin Coppock on the Astrology podcast make the case for moving the classic love holiday of St. Valentine's Day to March 17th, because that is when the Sun is usually on the exaltation degree of Venus in Pisces. And he made a very interesting observation that the holiday on March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, on which people wear green, which happens to be the color of Venus. So there's something to that. There's something about the sun being on the exaltation degree of Venus, expressing itself in culture with everybody wearing green. That's very fascinating to me. And on this March 17th, we have the sun not only on the exaltation degree of Venus, but also conjunct Neptune, which is the outer planet ruler of Pisces. And this is happening while Venus is in Pisces. So I suspect that whatever this secret Venusian holiday is going to have very full expression on this particular day. And another thing is that the moon enters Cancer on that day and will be trining Venus. So that is the moon in her home sign making a harmonious aspect to exalted Venus. Overall, this looks like a very pleasant and auspicious day. And that's about it for this week. Overall, a very good week as far as I'm concerned. I would definitely avail yourself of that pleasance because we're moving into some more serious space weather in the coming weeks. We have a pretty raucous eclipse season coming up, for example, which I'm really not looking forward to. Anyway, I hope you found this forecast useful, and take care and have fun out there.